Good evening, everybody. It is a Thursday night forum. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Tony just got in on the buzzer, right, Tony?
Yeah. If you hear anything that sounds like a goose, any type of dying bird, that's just my lungs.
Yeah.
No animals were harmed during the show.
Yeah, continue to take care of yourself, okay? That's number one thing, Tony. We'll give you a light load, I think, tonight. Myself, Gary, and Stan can take a lot of the weight off of you here. Gary, how you been? Good?
I'm doing good. Doing all right. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. And Stan, how are you?
Still got a few back problems and that, but other than that, I'm all right.
Yeah, you're not confined to bed now. You're able to get up a little bit, so that's improvement, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Tony, give us listen, Stan and I were talking on Sunday, the Sunday show, immediately after the Newcastle game. It's always good to have the immediate reaction, but then also let something sink in over a number of days. And so we're going to give you our considered thoughts about Newcastle as well. Tony, what were you thinking? What do you think about the performance?
Started off slow, but got there.
Got there in the end.
Better than last year, Ray. Which is a very low bar. Like we're first strong on the ladder, that's where we were last year and stuff.
Yeah, and I think Mikel Arteta even used that, showing the footage. Aaron Ramsdale said, showed the footage of the coaches, the manager, the management, and the players from a year ago when we went to Newcastle.
I would be playing that the whole last 3 months, 4 months. I would have been playing that thing.
It definitely had an effect anyway, Tony. We got the...
that has to be... I can't think of a worse Arsenal match I watched than that.
Yeah, it was
It just looked like I had no desire to go out and play football, even though top four was riding on it. It's like no fight, no hunger. Now you're seeing it, but that's still a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah, a year ago, we went to Newcastle. Gary, anything else, Tony, before I leave you?
No.
Good. Gary, a year ago, we left Newcastle forlorn, broken, end of season. It's a horrible feeling to even watch it on the documentary, but that had to have fueled the Arsenal players and thoughts and actions for this game.
Yeah, as Tony said, it did start slow, and I didn't really think about it at the time because I just looked at the results. But if you're going to take it piece by piece, if the pregame and the stuff that they did before the game was to look at the previous game that they played against Newcastle and all of that from, I think it's from All or Nothing, right? They looked at all of that.
Yep.
Now, in the first 10 minutes of this game, did that look like a team that had just looked at that video and said, we're not going to let that happen again?
Nope.
No.
You know what I mean? So, like, whatever he did, don't do it again. Because once again, we started out slow again. Right? They almost scored within the first, 5 minutes of the game. We seem to be coming into first 2 minutes. We seem to basically off the kickoff, the whistle blows, and we are once again in a position where we're going to give up a goal. I don't know what he's saying to them, but don't say whatever he's saying anymore because it's not working. But the team is resilient. They didn't score, and that might be the difference in the game. If they score, maybe things look a little bit different. But they didn't score, and we settled in. And basically after that, I think it looked much better for us. But that we've been talking about the start of games. Like at the beginning of the season, we talked about coming out and just blowing teams away in the first 15 minutes, basically controlling the game. And when we score, we do really well. Now we're coming in and we're giving up goals in the first 15 minutes, basically in the first minute sometimes. And So I'm not saying that as a whole the game was bad, but those are just little pieces of this puzzle that we're trying to put together that just did not look good and have been an issue for us this year. Set pieces as well, but not in this game. but in general, that was not a good start. I did like the fact that we had Kirior starting, Jorginho starting. I would have liked Trossard to start. I figured I don't know what he has to do to earn a start, except for wait for somebody to get injured. That's only seems to be the only way we're going to get some of our players to start to actually
It's special favors for Arteta.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it's not a. It's no way to build a squad if you can go out there and. I mean, the man's got. I think I saw he's got now 9 assists and 1 goal with Arsenal.
Trossard, yeah,
and he can't get a start. Like
Mhm.
not a start because, but a start in general because he's deserving of it. I mean, we need to be able to rotate our squad. I said that all the time. So yeah, So not, Jorginho and Kirior, I think they looked the part. I don't know Kirior. The reason why he hasn't started or gotten more game time is because he isn't ready until now. But he looks good. He looks ready. I didn't think he was ready for Liverpool, but he looked good against Newcastle, right? And maybe that's because of the way he prepared for the game, knowing that he's probably going to start, as opposed to Liverpool coming in, in the middle of that craziness that was going on. But if he's going to be part of this squad, he's going to have to be able to come into games where things aren't going our way, and he's going to have to go in there and calm things down. So, but yeah, the start of the game, I wish he would have been better, because that's teams are going to we don't need to give teams chances to score on us early. Not at all.
Yeah, look, this was second versus third. This was the team that everyone warned us about. Newcastle away. You still got to go to Newcastle. The echoes were you still have to go to Anfield. You still had to go to Man City. And look, we were minutes away from a win at Anfield. We didn't compete at all against Man City. That's got to be next season or the season. That's got to be the target is Man City next season. And Stan, but to go to Newcastle, listen, they're a very good team and they have a very good home record. And yes, you're going to be under pressure against Newcastle at times up there.
When we spoke about this game, I think it was just after the game. I think in hindsight, my analysis of the game was probably a little bit harsh having watched the game back, and also about Granit Xhaka's performance as well. Having watched the game back and not being as sleepy as I was so early in the morning when I watched it the first time around, I actually felt that it was probably one of our best games of the season in the way that we fought for those points. I thought it was quite amusing as well that we managed to upset Newcastle by playing them at their own game, by taking our time a lot. And yeah, I just felt I was a bit harsh on Sunday, and I think it was a really good performance. Also, as well, I do feel that, and I've mentioned this before, the 2 games before the Man City game, that's where we started to take our eye off the ball. And I think that the looming fixture of Man City probably weighed a lot. And once we were able to get past that fixture, I feel now like maybe perhaps a burden has been lifted, and the team can go out again and continue to play how they have for most of this season. But I definitely think that going into the Southampton game, they were too busy looking ahead at that Man City game.
Yeah, and look, if at the end, like it may happen with City, we finish in second place, we're going to have to lick our wounds and go again. And licking our wounds will be thinking about West Ham and thinking about Southampton especially, and the points we dropped there.
City's not going away.
Correct.
No matter what we do, we're going to have a plan to be able to compete with them, and whatever that is, it doesn't have to be. It could be easy, it could be difficult, but we're going to have to do something, because that can't be the way, as they say. It's got to be. We've got to do something different this time, because they're not going away, and until the money dries up or the actual allegations are substantiated with some punishments, this is what you have to do. I mean, we saw it yesterday, is it 2 days ago, right? The way that they played against Real Madrid, right? Real Madrid, I think, if I recall, played a certain way because it's City.
Mm-hmm.
If Real Madrid has to play, I don't know if they play 3 at the back or if they played more in the counter, But if they're going, I believe that's what they did. If
They
that's
played
the
pretty
case,
much. They played pretty much according to how City forced them to play, and they waited for their moments. And
yeah,
it took a
if
moment.
Real Madrid's going to do that, then why in the world would Arteta think with a depleted team, he's never had all of his players in to start the ones he wanted. He's always missing a player or two going into these matches, and he's still playing the same way and not playing to the to the situation at hand.
Mm-hmm.
He's got
Yeah, let's. You asked the question. What can we do next season? Next season we retool. We bring in more players. We get better next season, and we have to do better next season and get more points. And as Stan said, you have 2 or 3 fixtures coming up to the big one. You can't take your eye off the ball, and you have to get those 3 points against West Ham. You have to get 3 points against Southampton. Stan?
I was just thinking when you said, next season we try something, we have to try something different. I was just thinking to myself, we go 4-4-2.
Yeah.
I've told you it's coming back.
Banging that drum. Banging that drum.
Now, is that something? Is that right that Pep might be looking at doing that?
Well, I mean, he did a variation of it against us with 2 of the best players in the world.
What formation does our team look like when we're not in possession? It's 4-4-2, isn't it?
Yeah,
when
you got 4 at the back. Yeah,
it's a 4-4-2.
Well, maybe even
not on the offense.
We got 2 in the back though, not 4.
But Stan said when we don't have the ball.
That's what he meant. 2 in the back.
When we don't have the ball, we don't play 2 in the back.
When we have possession, it's a different formation.
It can be 2 in the back when we have possession, and the fullbacks bomb forward. Arsenal Misfit. Hey everyone, I hope you're all good. I'm blackout, driving forest firefighters around. So just listening in again, and you do some sterling work, Stephen.
What does Stephen do? What does Stephen do? I was reading that, and I was
partly coordinating firefighting units or helping people evacuate homes, things like that. So, BX has got a different
fires, and he was like driving around in forest fires, all trees.
Why does he have his wife's
but listening to us at the same time?
BX Gunner is using his wife's account. Okay. BX Gunner, explain yourself. Evening, everyone.
He explains himself later, so you'll find the answer.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah.
My phone's acting up. Can't get into my account. You should write your passwords down somewhere.
That is exactly what you're not supposed to do. So don't listen to Ray, okay, everybody? Everybody out there in the Twitterverse, do not listen to Ray when it comes down to securing your accounts.
Handle it all.
Sam Greenwood. I like that avatar. I like that avatar, Sam Greenwood. Evening, lads. Yeah, do not listen to me in most things except Arsenal. I know everything about Arsenal.
Oh boy!
Don't listen to Gary. It always amazes me how Steve Misfit drives around Canada listening to our podcast out of the hundreds to choose from right now. Well, I think we're the main one that's live right now. So.
What's up with that comment from Sam? What is he trying to do? Push him off? Push him away?
Slag.
What?
Yeah, you can't push BX away. BX, what happened, dude? Lose a bet?
It's Sam. BX. They're fixtures.
Right. Okay, let's get back to what were we talking about? Newcastle, they're quite good. They have a decent home record. Going to Newcastle and winning. Tony, I'm going to convince you this is a good result, right, Tony?
We scored 1 goal. We shot 10 goals.
Yes, very true.
Shots,
I want to ask. I have a few questions.
Broken, right?
So I have a few questions lined up. Okay. The 2 big chances we missed, Martinelli and Saka, clean.
Missed 3.
Okay, but
all 3 of those guys missed.
Yes, of the 2, because Odegaard's closer to goal, right? Let's say Martinelli and Saka's chances are pretty equal.
They all 3 count, right?
Equally weighted. Who should have done better with their opportunities, Stan? Saka or Martinelli? when the through balls.
I think maybe Saka.
Yeah, I maybe think Saka could have
I
done
would
better.
expect Saka to bring it home. More than Martinelli at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the man's got, he's got what 24 goal contributions this season.
Yeah,
like
I've
third
got
in the
the
league.
notes
So
here. Yeah.
expect him to, he's as much as they're praising Odegaard, but he's one goal behind him. You know what I mean? So he's doing pretty well. You expect him to score.
Yeah. But Bukayo Saka, I mean, it's a higher quality chance, Tony, on his left foot.
Yeah. But it's still all three mystery.
Yeah, listen, Odegaard should really have fitted that into the right-hand side of the post as well, right in the end of halftime.
Yeah, but
as well.
he's been making some rockets, right? Give him some space.
Okay,
When you
so
get
you're-
one like that, where it's just you and the goalkeeper, pick a corner, you score. Come on, Tony. Nah. Just because he can score from distance when he's sitting that close to the goal, it's okay if he misses? No, it's never okay to miss that. Ever. It doesn't matter what you've done.
We need to cut Odegaard some slack because it's something like 15 goals now from open play.
Yep.
None of them are penalties. And that's
Correct.
tied with a record, isn't it? In the Premier League.
Yeah.
It's tied with...
And that's to tell you how he should be at 20.
Tied with
Frank
Kevin De
Lampard.
If you
Bruyne.
think about it.
Kevin De
Think about it,
Bruyne.
he should be at 20
Kevin,
because
yeah.
he's turned down multiple opportunities to even
But he's
take
gonna
the
get-
damn shot,
He's gonna get
much
better.
less missing them.
He's going to get better, right? 15, 24
I know,
years
but
old.
I kind of want to see it.
Third full
Don't
season
waste
in
the trip,
England.
man. You're right there. Don't waste the trip. You're right there. Just go ahead. It's all right if you put it in.
Gary, do you still scream at everybody to shoot during the watch
Yeah,
along?
of course I do. Now they're getting the shots and they're missing, so I guess I can't really complain about the shooting as much because when they get in those opportunities, sometimes they get in that position now, and we are getting every game. If you look at it, we are in a position to score a goal, no matter how bad the score is. Even look at any score any game that we played, even when we had a terrible game, we maybe didn't score a goal or we scored just the one. We've had multiple opportunities to score, so that's not an issue anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's like 3 shots, there's still like 3 really good opportunities to put it home.
Shout out to Jack here from Anfield Road TV, and where this result for Arsenal, we're helping ourselves, but it helps Liverpool in their quest to chase down a Manchester United team that's just like spluttering now, and that would be absolute scenes if Man United didn't make it. Bloody love you lads, helped us out massively. You smashed them. The mentality that gives the team back end of this season and going into next season. Arsenal, Liverpool, only teams to beat.
You're rooting for the wrong team
at
to
home.
fall out of the top 4, right?
What's that?
You're rooting for the wrong team to fall out of the top 4.
Well, who do I want to drop out? Newcastle?
Newcastle would be the best bet because
I just don't see
they
it.
have a lot more money.
I just don't see Newcastle backing
Be more
out of
attractive.
the top 4. I see Man United slowing down now with these two recent defeats, and Liverpool are winning games. And wouldn't it be absolute scenes if Liverpool won all their 3 remaining games to be on 71 points, and Man United pick up 8 points and be on 71 points, and the only difference would be that 7-0 defeat that Man United suffered at the hands of Liverpool. That's all. That's all.
It's even worse than that because right now there's a 17 goal difference between the two of them. So it's not even the 7 goals.
Exactly.
It's not even the 7 goals.
But like I said to my Manchester United friend,
that scenario is on the same token as we're all talking about opportunities missed, like the game against West Ham and Southampton. But for me, it's all well and good the PGMOL apologizing for mistakes made, but I really am worried that some of those mistakes have cost us. They're admitting they got things wrong, and it's
don't say the B word, right?
But the draws that we suffered were our own hands, right? We didn't play well enough on the day, but it doesn't help when you're getting nobbled by the officials because they've apologized to us.
Yep. Yeah, indeed. The 17 goal difference, Gary, it means something if United didn't lose 7-0. It means something.
It's 17, right?
Yeah, but 7-0 is 14 when you think
I have
about
a
it.
5'6"
No, hold on. 7-0 is 14, Gary, because it's 7 goals that United didn't concede, and it's 7 goals that Liverpool didn't
No. What I'm
score.
saying is that right now there are 17 goal difference. So if they tied, it's not even close, right? So
if it was a tie, then you'd have a 3 goal difference with 3 games. So
no,
7.
It wouldn't. Right now it's 17. 1-7. Right. There's 17 goal difference between those two teams.
Okay. Tell me what the goal difference would be if that was a 0-0 game. If that was a 0-0 game between Liverpool and United.
10.
No, it would be 3.
10.
The goal difference would be 3.
How can it be 3? It's 10.
It's 7.
How do you get 14? How do you take away? You don't take double goals away.
It's Rain Man. He doesn't.
Ray, your math is
Man,
really
you
bad today.
You want to explain it to him, Stan?
No, you started talking math and I kind of switched off.
I don't understand your math.
All right,
math.
Listen to me very carefully then, Gary. Liverpool beat Man United 7-0, okay? That's 7 goals that Liverpool scored, and it's also 7 goals that Man United conceded. So it's a swing of 14 goals between the two teams. Right?
But I'm saying right now their goal difference is 17.
If you look at okay.
So even if they lost 7-0, right? Like you said, they would still have a 3-goal difference on
What the goal difference is between Liverpool and Manchester United. Take 7 away from Liverpool and add 7 to United.
Yeah.
Then your goal difference is 3.
I guess so, but that's not. I don't see it that way. I guess.
And that's a math lesson from Ray.
Hang on, you may be laughing, Sam, but it is all planned out. It is.
Sam is convinced. Sam is convinced Tony doesn't watch the games. He only sees the stats and bases his conclusions from.
So Ray, if it was the first game of the season and they lost 7-0, what would be the goal difference?
It would be the difference between the two teams would be 14 goals.
Am
I right, Tony?
True.
Huh?
No.
I don't understand. I hear what you're saying. The only way they can replenish that is if they score 7 more.
If it's the Gary, if it's the first game of the season, Liverpool beat United 7-0. Liverpool would have +7. Liverpool would have +7. United would have -7. There you go. There's 14.
This is like turning a university challenge.
I know. I don't. I get you, but it's a 7-goal difference. So there you go.
It's Blockbuster. Remember Blockbuster?
I hear you. All right, let's
move
on.
2 against 1. 2 against 1.
I like it better when Ray's.
I'll have a pay, please, right?
Quiet.
I like it when I win an argument at least once against Gary. Once a season, I have to win an argument.
There you go. You got it. You can have this one.
All right. What was I going to say? Who do we feel will be our top scorer at the end of the season? We've got Odegaard sitting on 15. We've got Martinelli sitting on 15 and Saka on 13. Just a little segue from our mathematics. Actually, it's more math, right?
I'm going to stick with Odegaard purely because he's the one that may not get changed in any games, if that makes sense. He'll probably be involved more than the others may not be. If that makes sense.
Stan, you drew a tail again.
Gary, what are you feeling? Martinelli's one of your favorite players, but Odegaard's really coming strong now toward the end of the season, right?
Yeah. It is. I mean, Stan does make a good point there, but well, I was gonna say Saka, but like you said, it's we need to rotate.
He's only 2 goals back.
We need to rotate, and Trossard needs to play somehow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
listen,
to play.
Gary, I also was disappointed about Trossard not finding his way onto the starting lineup, especially after being substituted about 60, 65 minutes in the Chelsea game. You know, you had the point that last Thursday night that okay, perhaps Trossard's being substituted, be saved for Newcastle. He didn't find his way onto the team, and yeah, Arteta's he's got to start introducing these players more and more and getting them acclimated into the squad.
And I don't like
more
the
and more
whole,
minutes.
well, next year he'll do things differently. It's like, well, no, do it the same way today. If you have the answers, then you just use them, right? You don't wait. What do you wait until next year for?
The lessons are being learned very slowly by Mikel Arteta, because we saw Kieran Tierney come in after about 60 minutes. Zinchenko not being defensively great. Zinchenko gives us a lot going forward, but defensively, he's not going to help us a whole lot. And Kieran Tierney should be that player.
Not meant to be a defender, right?
Well, he is. I know he's not meant to be a defender, but that is part of his job if he's in that position, Tony.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't get the whole. It sounds like Arteta just wants to have, he's going to have 11 starters and 11 players behind him that do the exact same thing. Guess what? When the team stops you from doing what you can do, it doesn't matter if you bring in fresh legs. They're just going to stop you anyways, right? So for me, you have to do something different. We keep talking about doing something different. We talked about this like a season or two ago, right? We said we need to have a different type of striker to come in. I think everybody believes that we need to have a different striker to come in. Well, based on the way that we use our players right now, he'll never play. Because that's a totally different. It's a midfield. No, but he won't play because we won't change our style.
Well, what we're seeing, we are seeing an evolution of Mikel Arteta. He used to do funny things with false nines a few years ago. He used to try it out with Pep Guardiola. Now he's instituted a style of play, and he's rigid to that style of play. And now Tony and I have talked about pragmatic versus progressive. And there's situations in the season where he's got to be pragmatic and go to the Etihad, go to Anfield, and you get a lead. You get 2-0 lead at Anfield. You got to lock up shop and make sure you don't get nobbled in the last 3 minutes of that game. We'll get into this, Jack, as well from Anfield Road TV. Best bit about that game is how Arsenal lads played Newcastle their own game. Cheek of how to complain about the time wasting his team, or statistically the team with the ball out of play. I believe their ball, the Newcastle ball, is out of play most often. It's bottom of the league actually in terms of how many minutes they play per 90 in the league.
They're also bottom of the league of how long it takes for a kick out for the keeper. They're at the bottom of that. Go. Yeah. They take the longest to kick the ball out.
They take the longest to kick the ball out, probably the longest to take set pieces, and the ball is not in play as much as 19 other teams in the league, City can appeal to that court. They won in last time. I have no confidence in anyone making those charges stick. It's going to be a different court of appeal. It's going to be, within England. It's going to be I'm not saying it's going to be different, but it's a different.
No, you can't say it's going to be different and say, oh, it's going to be different. Which one is it? Is it going to be different, or is it going to be?
I don't have confidence. I don't have confidence that they will be punished.
Raise math again, right? It's going to be different because it's in a different country. But guess what? The results will be exactly the same, but it's going to be different.
He's going to be correct one way or
different judge, same results, Gary.
No, it's the same result. The problem is the same result. It's not. Who cares where they have it? I don't care what country it's in.
All of a sudden, you notice that the judge is wearing a brand new Rolex. You're like,
All right, we're going to lay off the math, John. We're going to lay off the math a little bit. The mathematics at 3 a.m. is killing people here. Don't worry, our fans can be deluded as well. One to the trophy for coming second. All right. Can Odegaard be consistent now for seasons to come and be like a Steven Gerrard, be like a Frank Lampard.
The problem is we don't even know what the ceiling is yet.
That's a good problem,
No, it's yeah,
right?
that's the problem. We don't even know what their ceiling is yet because we expect them to continue to improve, right? The last three, this is the third season in a row that we've expected different things from the way that we've been scoring and all of that, and the team's been delivering every time. So I'm only expected to get better next time. Instead of being for an entire season, it'll be just a segment of games that they play because they won't hopefully have to play every game. Right, so they're
You
going
won't
to be
see
really.
the
Their numbers might be the exact same as they have this season, but they'll be in higher pressure games hopefully, and they'll mean more.
you
Well,
won't
Mikel needs
see a
to
difference until we change from midfield.
I think Mikel needs to understand for next season that he can't play a favoured 11 in all competitions. He has to take people out, put people in, have people primed and ready. Otherwise, you go out to competitions and there's going to be people are going to be knackered, and then you're going to be fielding players that haven't had a shot yet. It's too. You got to have a blend, and he's got to work that out. That's up to him to
Rotation
work that
stands
out.
called rotation. You have to be able to have a rotation set up
They
in the way that you run your squad, right?
you're seeing it throughout the league. Okay, notwithstanding Manchester City, right? Because they're so damn good, they can rotate really well. You're seeing
Look at
Man United.
Mahrez. Mahrez scores a hat trick. He's on the bench the next game.
Yeah, they can do it, and I think Man City and Pep has been through this
We keep
before.
saying this, but we have a Trossard and we don't even rotate him.
Mhm.
We have a Trossard right now. We have a Jorginho right now. We have a Tierney right now, and they can't rotate into the squad right now. Not next season when we have another 3 or 4 players that maybe we can rotate, but right now, it's in your face,
Mhm.
right? And it was needed in the last like 8 games that we could have rotated players, and we didn't do it. So yeah. Kyrgios not yet because I think he's just finally has supplanted like a position in the squad, right? From what he's done in
Maybe.
the last game. But we have to see it
I
again,
still
right?
think that. I still think that in the Southampton game or the West Ham game, that if he had wanted to, if Mikel had wanted to, he could have picked Kvyat, but he really wanted to go over Rob Holding. He wanted a left foot and a right foot, and Rob Holding's been at the club longer. It didn't work out, and he thought, I don't want to drop him. I'll go with him again. To give him. If you don't get in that, he could have picked Kvyat. I think it was those double performances where that breaks the bank now. I've got to do something different. Does that make any sense?
Yeah,
And it's up to that manager to have that right.
What did
gut
you see
feeling.
in the previous match, though?
I don't know. That's the
like
thing.
nobody saw anything in the previous match that said, "All right, Holding you." Okay, I can understand why you're good. You get another game. There was nothing in the previous game where you go, "Yes, this is going to work again. This is going to work this time." Right? I don't believe that ever. That at least for me, it was never. It's going to work. Holding, as you know, he's a closer, and it sounds like that's when he should come in. End of the game, the close up shop. Basically, that's it.
Yeah.
If we keep him, but in reality, as a starter,
Tony, you're shaking your head.
He's slow as molasses. You don't bring him in as a closer. That's one of the other game. But
it's
John,
the only way he played
fresh legs. You don't want to slow Rob.
in the beginning of the season. That's when he came in.
Well, he comes in to be able to get crosses and defend the goal in the last 3 or 4 minutes. As Gary's talking about, he's a closer. He's that 85th minute substitution. But Gary's also said, and I'll give him his props, you put Holding in for a number of games and you're going to see some deficiencies there. And that's what we've had from Holding. He does a job for you against Leeds and Crystal Palace, but you go to Anfield and you're gonna give something up. Not that it was completely his fault what happened there, and we have a lot of different thoughts about Anfield. We could have won that game, we definitely could have lost the game, and in the end, Ramsdale saved a point for us. And this thing is still alive thanks to this win up at Newcastle. We are gonna talk about City a little bit later as well. This thing's still, but I don't see City dropping 5 points. And Tony, take a break if you need to, get a drink of water, whatever. Gary, I don't see City dropping 5 or 6 points here, but we're doing all that we can now, having made the mistakes that we've made.
We did that last year too, right? It doesn't matter.
Personally, I don't care what City does anymore. I just want to. We need to just finish off this thing strong for me,
Mhm.
and that means getting wins and everything. So for me, I just that's what we need to do. We can't expect City to drop teams to drop points for us, right? We wanted last season. We needed that team to drop points. It looked like they might have going to do that in the last game of the season. They didn't. So, nah, we have to just go and take what go get what we want as opposed to expect people to help give us handouts.
Mhm.
They're like backing into things, and that would be backing into this, thing because we should expect to win every one of these. But as I told you, going into the City match, I want us to win those 3 matches. We wouldn't even
Yeah.
have the problems
Yeah.
we have now.
You wanted 10 going in. We got 7, and then 3 draws, and that's as good as 2 defeats, or as bad as 2 defeats, whatever way you want to look at it. I think Mount could work at Arsenal. He has the lot of ability, but not so sure about the same for Ramsey. I don't know if I want Mason Mount, but that's a conversation for down the line as well. Okay, skip over that one.
It's about players. It's not about nasty stuff.
All right, thanks for the heads up.
Do you remember back in the 80s? Do you remember back in the 80s where everywhere you went, you saw that people would paint it on bridges like "Free the Guildford 7." Well, I want to start my own one, like "Free the Brentford 2," because those two.
The 2
I'm
points.
telling you, man, that is. Are you telling me right that if we finish the season with only 1 or 2 points behind, that it's not going to bother you at all that we got an apology and that was it?
Of course,
That you're not going to be bothered.
Yeah, no, we will be.
If we're going to lose this, it has to be 3 points by 3 points. Because if it's less than 3 points, I'm going to have a heart attack. I'll be writing a very strongly worded letter to someone.
Unfortunately, if it's 3 points, if it's 4 points, we can look back at the points that we have dropped with draws, especially maybe a defeat at Everton. That we can say we didn't turn up.
Yeah, we can improve on that though. We lost those games because of how we played on the day. That's our own thing. But having points go astray because of the officials. I'm sorry, I'm back on it again. I know. This could really be so important, man. Really so important.
So he's been the biggest letdown for you. He did have an injury, but first good half. Second half sounds like Darwin Núñez to me. Yeah. Darwin is coming to a new league, but he needs a lot of work. Jesus has a lot of skill and gets into good positions, but again, just so much waste with his final ball. I thought he had a good game. I thought this was one of our best performances of the season at Newcastle. And I thought that on Sunday. You don't think so, Tony? In terms of great determination, digging in, playing a different kind of game as well, and the maturity that we had, Tony.
Nope.
Okay,
we only scored 1 goal, right? What else do you need to know? We took 10 shots.
Yeah. Look at Liverpool. Liverpool won there as well. They took something like 13 shots and 7 on target.
Why does everything always have to lead back to Liverpool?
Because they're the only other team that beat Newcastle away from home as well. That's why. If Man City had done it, I would reference Man City. But Man City didn't win at Newcastle.
Can we see your undershirt? Or maybe your underoos? I bet he has Liverpool underoos.
Listen, I
Stevie Gerrard.
I'm not gonna reference Chelsea. I'm not gonna reference City. I'm not gonna reference Newcastle because I don't believe that they've done things the right way. I'm just a purist when it comes to football. If you are running your club in the right way, I don't like Brighton, but I respect what they're doing. You know, Brighton are bringing players in.
But if you say they did it the right way, they sold 1 player and got a king's ransom. We've had to pay a king's ransom for players to go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so you didn't think it was one of our better performances of the season?
No.
Gary? What do you think?
No, I didn't think it was either.
Which game?
I mean, if this
The Newcastle one.
game.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you think
Sorry.
was a better performance? Just to get an idea of what you're thinking.
I think that, I mean, once again, I think that match where we won 1-0 and we pretty much dominated the game. The other team
Against Leicester.
had like 17%. Yeah.
Against
That's
Leicester.
kinda- If we had a perfect game against
There's
Newcastle,
levels to this.
we would have scored at least one of those 3 opportunities we had in the first half, in the first half there. If we were having a really good game, as Tony said, we only put one ball in the goal ourselves. And I said I think
As
we had
John
more than
says
enough.
here,
We had more than enough opportunities to score more than one goal in that game ourselves.
as John said, one of your important performances. I would say not the best. So I guess I'm coming from a point of view of like the mentality of the team, and we weren't going to get bullied around. And maybe we can talk about that a little bit now. The aspect of the way Newcastle approached the game, the way Eddie Howe set up the game, and the time wasting that they didn't like in this game as well. Rule is here. Thanks for joining us, Rule. We
Hi,
lost
Rule.
our way. We can blame the ref and officials, but it was in our hands and we let it slip. No one to blame but ourselves. And that's in general for the season, Stan.
Yeah, with that Newcastle game, though, as I say, now that I've watched it back again, to go up to Newcastle, I mean, not a lot of teams this season have had a lot of joy up at St James's Park. And we went up there, there's a very loud crowd. You know, it's a very well-supported club, very vocal. We managed to quieten them down and walk away with 3 points. Yeah, we did miss some chances, but it was also good to see that we were back playing well. And he did make some changes and some tweaks for that. You know, we're playing more of a double pivot. He puts Jorginho in there, and Jorginho had a really good game. I felt, you know. So I think it was a good performance, and we
Is that
outmuscled
why you
them a
thought it
little
was a
bit.
great performance, Ray? Because if you finally got your double pivot you've been waiting for.
No, I thought I thought we had a good performance because we stood up to them. We didn't cave in. There's other teams that have gone there and lost 6-1. We're a goal down after 2 minutes. We were lucky. We rode our luck a little bit, hit the upright. They hit the upright after 2 minutes, but we won the right to win that game because we met.
I mean,
them
that to me sounds like the result was a really good result at St. James Park. Doesn't mean we played our best game, because I don't think that's our best game.
So you're talking about
Because that's what you said. You said that's the best game we've played, and I don't believe that's the best game we've played.
was our most complete game because what do you need to win a game of football? You need mentality, you need strength, you need physicality, you need to win the game mentally in the trenches before you can play your football and go on and win the game. I thought we checked every one of those boxes. The things that were found lacking over in this Arsenal team the last 3, 4, 5 years, you didn't see a lot of that on Sunday against Newcastle. And they tested us physically and mentally in this game. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm looking at signature games where this young team can grow up and mature. And I thought this was a very mature performance from a lot of the players on the field. You know? You go to a hostile environment. This is probably one of the most hostile environments in the league for me, outside maybe the Etihad and Anfield at Liverpool, you know, maybe Man United as well. And we passed a lot of tests for me.
I mean, we've played more glitzier games. We've scored more goals, and we've been in cruise control. And it's been like, you know, the Harlem Globetrotters. But I agree with what you're saying there, Ray. You know, that a young team can look at certain games and it will help them mature. And I think that Newcastle performance was one of those, for sure.
So you're going to need this going into next season. And listen, I don't want to be sitting here saying next season either. I want to win the league this year. And if Everton go and beat Manchester City on Sunday before we play Brighton, we better beat Brighton and take advantage of that. And then they'll be really nervous for the last 3 games for them, the last 2 games for them. But if we're growing up, Gary, if we're growing up as a team, this is the kind of win that we have to get. away from home. We have to pass. these
As I
past-
said, I don't think it was our best game. I think the result
Sure.
is really good, and that's the difference. I think everybody's listening to what I'm saying, thinking I'm saying.
No, I get.
I
You're
don't believe
looking
it was
at
our.
the
I don't believe it was our
performance.
best game. I believe the result is really good.
Yeah.
As Sam says, it was a clean. It was a clean sheet away at Newcastle. Really tough place to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it was our best game, and that's not. I'm not complaining about winning, not scoring enough
Yeah,
goals. I'm saying if it was our best game, we would have scored those goals. So for me,
Sure.
it can't be. It was our
Efficiency.
best
Well,
game if we left a
The
lot of
word,
goals
the
on
word
the table.
you and Tony are looking for is efficiency, right, Gary?
No, you just said, was it our best game? And I said no, it wasn't our best game.
Okay, what was missing? Efficiency, right? When scoring those goals.
We didn't score enough goals. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't shoot enough goals.
And we had.
Efficiency, yeah.
It wasn't as if we didn't have opportunities to. So if I'm
Right,
going to say it's our
so-
best game, it can't just be well. The result was good. The playing away is tough.
Okay.
Getting a clean sheet.
What
But
tips
I'm
the
gonna- but it
balance? What tips the balance for you? One more goal or two more goals?
I don't know.
If we win 4-0, that's the best
But
game?
is
then?
it more of a case of you take
Just
say I
curious.
don't know what the figure is. You take 16 shots, but you've got 2 goals. So you're thinking, well, if we're taking 16 shots, why can't more than 2 of them go in? Is it like
Well,
that?
I know Tony is thinking we had 10 shots and 6 on target, and we only scored 1 goal. He's saying we only scored 1 goal, right, Tony?
Yep.
Even though we forced the second goal, that doesn't count, right?
We didn't score it, did we?
No, but own goals count, and when you force the team into
That was well
mistakes,
forced by Martinelli, you know.
they still go. They still go in your goal difference, Tony. They still count on the scoreline. I get it. Martinelli didn't score directly, but Martinelli.
What's
Make no
interesting is
mistake.
in a similar situation, he
forced
won't
that.
even take that shot. And I'm like, if you know that the worst case scenario is it goes off a defender, and goes in, and especially the way he gets up there a lot of times where he's waiting for people to show up, and then like we just the attack just fizzles out, and you're like, well, he didn't even take a shot. This time he
Well,
actually
Gary-
took the shot, right? So it was
Yeah. And I'm not coming after you, Gary. I just want to understand the part.
like I said,
parts that were
for it to
missing
be
for
a
you.
complete game, for a really good
Yeah.
game for me, it has to be on both sides. It can't just be the results and all of that. It has to be a complete game for me. And
Did
that's
you
where,
think we had a good performance? Right,
yeah, it was, yeah.
good performance.
But
And-
the thing we started this, my mind at least is what I believe I heard from you was this was one of our best games of the season. I don't think it was.
Mentally speaking,
I think
mentality.
well, no matter what you want, you said the best game, and to me it wasn't the best game, and for multiple reasons. The result is really good.
Mhm.
Yes, the result is really good. We knew going in to St. James was going to be a tough game, right? But if
Yeah.
I tell you you're going to have 3 opportunities to score in like a 5-minute period, you're expecting us to put that away because that's the same problems we had when we were, when we were playing, when we got those draws. We had opportunities to score there and we didn't do
Sure.
it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I get what you're saying. When you have the chance to score that second goal, Odegaard's got to score right on halftime because we're winning that battle. We're winning the battle of Needle, Stan. Trippier and Gabriel Jesus are going at it in that corner, and we engineer a chance for Odegaard, and it would have been just perfect for Odegaard just to punch him right in the gut right there for a 2-0 halftime lead. And Gabriel Jesus could look at Trippier and smile at him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I was pleased with the way that it turned out. Very pleased with the way that game went. You know,
I enjoyed the Needle as well.
chances.
Is-
We missed some chances, but it happens.
And
Is it
I
because
enjoyed the
April-
Needle in the
Is
game.
it because
Tony,
April was so poor for us, Ray, that you like this
April
game
was
so much?
April was a bad month, very bad month, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm not just trying to see what you've seen on this, and I know
yeah. Look,
for the way they got embarrassed last year, you want to see a thrashing, right?
do you think the Newcastle players were beaten on the field? We won 2-0. We didn't thrash them 3 or 4-0, but the the performance required that we could have scored 3 or 4 goals for sure. And Gary's exactly right. When you're on top, you're 1-0 up after 13 minutes. You need to finish the job in that first half and score another goal and make them not want to come out second half, or make them come out thinking, Gary, 2-0 down. This is going to be really a tough day in the second half.
But you really don't want to do what you did at Chelsea either. Score 3 goals and just go on cruise control.
That
the
for
rest
me.
of the
That's
game.
that's the manager. That's the manager not noticing that things were changing in terms of they were looking like they were going to get an opportunity there, and you have a closer and Tierney to come in and maybe solidify the back line a little bit better, right? And the way that things seem to happen on that left side of the pitch, just
I
you
think
have an answer for it, right?
That's a good point from Real. Like, we'll all see, we're 4 different people. All the Arsenal fans worldwide going to see something different. The meaning of the best game will have different meanings to every fan. Yeah. And I just thought we were not Tottenham. Our fans were not leaving after 30 minutes because we're.
Well, think about it. Some people think that match at the Toilet Bowl was one of our best games of the season for the reasons I was talking about, where we dominated basically offensively and defensively in that match. All right.
And the goals
Right.
very similar.
Right.
The 2 goals very similar, Gary.
So it felt different, and maybe that's because of course Newcastle's a much better team, but it was a demon that we had to get off of our chest once again, right? Based on the way we played last season. So they're both are check. We've
now
responded.
We have a few demons carried over from this season that we haven't taken care of. Everton away from home and Man United away from home. These are things we're going to look at next season. We want to continue to improve. There's players we can target in the summer we could probably talk about as well. But Tony, I want to delve into the physicality of the game. What did you think of the referee for this game? My viewpoint is he let some things go, but I was generally happy if the referee is going to be consistent and let the game flow. There was a couple of situations where our players got, really should have had yellow cards against Newcastle players. But what were your thoughts on the referee?
At least he kept it consistent, but I don't think it was a very good job. But you start letting all those yellows go, then somebody ends up with a broken leg or something like that. It's just dangerous letting them play that way.
Yeah. He handed out 1 yellow card and I think a second one in the 96th minute.
Yeah, Guimaraes should have gotten a yellow at some point. He didn't get 1 yellow. So I think they had,
Guimaraes was not the player you build, Tony. I thought he was a lot better than that.
Oh, I heard his name 5,000 times.
Yeah, getting dispossessed. Stan, what do you think of the referee?
Well, he wanted to give us a penalty, So, if it wasn't for VAR, we might have had a penalty against us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, clearly. I was thinking, oh crap! After 7 minutes, here we go, penalty.
It did look like a handball the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until you get the jiggery pokery, the different angles and the back and forth, and you say, okay, see, it's actually hit his leg.
It never hit his hand at all, which is even more.
No, never hit his hand. The media, the pundits will always try to back up the referees in the situation. Always great in there.
And that's the thing. VAR is not supposed to do that. VAR is not supposed to back you up. It's supposed to clarify exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
If that backs you up, fine. But it's not really I'm going to back up the official. No, it's to get the call right. That's the only thing it's supposed to be for, right?
Yeah.
Clear and obvious mistakes, meaning that there's no way you could have saw that it didn't hit his hand. And that's what they did, right?
How do the commentators know before the fans and everybody else that
they don't? They're just rowing in with.
They're not guessing. They've heard what the VAR decision is every time. They tell you.
I feel like they're gonna. If the referee blows a whistle, Graham Lasso saying that's definitely a penalty, 100%. It's hit his arm, and then 5 minutes later, the referee has gone to VAR, consulted, looked at it, and chalked it off. And Graham, the same person, Graham LaSalle was saying, we can clearly see you hit his thigh. Never a penalty. So why can't you have, chest and just say what you see and go against the Premier League? So yeah, Gary, what were your thoughts on the referee? Did he play the game well for you, or was he, inconsistent? Did he allow?
I mean,
Newcastle?
I think he let more. They got away with a lot more than we did. I think so. But as people have mentioned multiple times, we stood up to the challenge. We didn't just beat the 11 players on the pitch. We beat the officials and VAR essentially as well.
Mhm.
So, and that's what we said going into all these matches, right? It doesn't really matter what the calls are. Just go ahead and beat the team on the pitch, anyways. And we did that. So yeah, no,
I think
I don't think it wasn't that bad because I think both, as I've said, both teams had opportunities to score and both teams didn't. We just scored the most in that respect. So, yeah, it could have been a high-scoring game, the way it started. But we'll take the clean sheet, as I said. We'll take the clean sheet, and then we seem to do that on the road, right? We've got 11 clean sheets on the road. Like at home, we just can't seem to.
That's
to
really
stuff. Yeah.
That's really something. When you dig into this season, we're gonna say we were really good away from home. We were a really good team away from home, but defensively at home, we played too open, too casual, too cavalier, and we've
because of that damn song.
we've conceded goals because of the song.
It's a bit dreary.
Tony, I need you to expand on that point before I misinterpreted what you're saying.
Well, you already seen it in the Amazon documentary. Here's a dude explaining the song, young, up-and-coming guy in the London music scene. Let's use this as our theme. Fuck yeah.
Well, is that the reason why our home record's so bad, or not as bad, not as good as our away record?
It's valid, right? You never know.
Stan,
theory.
Stan, you are not a fan of this song, right?
Really?
I'm okay with it. I think.
But what is this? Maybe I'm missing something. What is the song you're talking about?
I've actually read through the lyrics.
But how does that affect our performances?
I didn't say this.
What song are you guys talking about?
You just asked me. You just asked me if I liked it or not. That's all.
What is this song? What are we talking about?
Angel.
What?
North London Forever.
Angel.
So
Robbie Williams.
London forever, North London Forever, Gary.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm not a fan of the song.
Tony has said it's
prefer Robbie
responsible
Williams.
for our record at home, losing goals at home.
Oh, because they play it and then we go out there and we can't stop the balls from going in.
It's a Tony take. It's a Tony take.
Or it might have been Tony being facetious.
Okay, I'll cut you a break on this one then. But Gary, it's a valid point. I think we have the third worst third worst goals against.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah, as Rule says, we're a little naive.
Very naive at home.
We need to play with the same kind of vigor in every game. Every game is like the last game you're gonna play. You know what I mean? And we don't do that. Like Ramsdale should be pissed because he should be upset. Why in the world is this goal getting penetrated? Sorry. Why are shots getting? There's a bad word. I know. But why does it look?
We use that in our sales. Yeah,
it's
a bad word.
But why? Why is the defense in front of him at home look so porous? You know what I mean? Like somehow the ball always ends up through it. He makes saves all the time. Like some people say he's doing it for the camera, and it's like, no, are you seeing the defense in front of him? The defense in front of him is not as good as it needs to be, and he's have to make these saves there. So I kind of feel like
because we use Rob Holding more at home. Is that what it is?
No.
I don't
listen.
We were doing this with Saliba, so it can't be. It's not a whole
think about the differences between an away performance and a home performance, especially in the first 15 minutes. Right, the away performance, you're trying to keep things tight and feel the game out a little bit and settle yourself into the game. A home game, you're probably expected to be more on the front foot. So you're a little bit more open, a little bit more cavalier, and you try to attack from the start. And
But if
we've
you-
always had that mindset of trying to get a goal or two up in the first 15, 20
But-
minutes.
Ray, we also have a trend that's going on again. We're having about 45,000 fans instead of 60.
What?
I said we're having about 45 to 40,000 home fans instead of 60,000 again.
You're talking about external factors here in relation to our home games and away games.
That's not an external factor. The crowd plays into it. You
Sure.
kept saying Arteta said things will get better when we get fans on the pitch. And they finish 8th place.
Maybe the team feels at home there's an expectation, Stan, to probe and go forward and be a bit more open. We've conceded some goals in the first few minutes of games at home.
And a lot of it did happen while William Saliba was still in the team. It's
Yep.
not just because William Saliba has gone out, but I think our back four now is really at its bare bones because we've got 3 games left. Now, if he's going to pick Kieran Tierney to fill in for Zinchenko, who's I hear now is out for the rest of the season, is Kieran Tierney able to do 3 matches and play 90 minutes of all of it?
Yeah.
I mean, we know he can be stretched a little bit, Kieran Tierney. Do you know what I mean? If we hold on, Gary, but if we and if he can't, who else comes in? Do you see what I mean? We're really down to the bare bones. Does he then put Kivior at left back, and then we go back to Rob Holding to come back in?
3 games.
Meanwhile, we got to hope that Benny Blanco has to last. Everyone's got to last for these 3 games. 90 minutes.
Aha. Sorry, I thought you were done.
This is about an injury, Gary. This is about an injury.
I'm just saying now. Now maybe we go to the 3 at the back, and we just, you can pull out a White or a Zinchenko, and
There you went with
back there,
another
and
sexual
Trossard
comment.
gets to come in and plays up top, and we just see out the game, right? With our
Gary's talking about pulling out again.
Gary, come on, get your mind out.
I'm sorry, people. This is just not. I don't know what's going on.
Everything you're going to say now will be.
I know it's going to be scrutinized now. Everything.
Exactly,
No, I just
scrutinized.
no.
Sexual
We've
innuendo.
always had these answers though, right? We can take if Tierney is starting to wear down, which we've seen before, right? We've seen him wear down in games, and we bring in somebody more defensive minded. But if you have to take him off because he's starting to wear down, you can put a Saka back there, maybe go 3 at the back or something like that to see out the game, right? You can do that. So we do have options, and I know. I mean, we're not going to probably put any of the youngsters in, but we do have youngsters we could put on the bench and bring in too if we needed to. But I think we have enough from like a Saka to maybe push, roll things, or rotate back a little bit and see out the game. I think we should be able to score enough goals where even if we did give up a goal late because we tired out, it wouldn't be an issue because we do have the ability to score more. I think we should easily be able to score 3 goals in the next 3 games that we play.
And that will take us to 90, right?
Yeah.
That will take us. Imagine scoring 90 goals this season. We've really stepped forward again this season, and then unfortunately we're looking like we're always falling short. But the target last year was a really poor Tottenham team, and the target this year is a very, very good Manchester City team. So we have to measure that with context as well. Rule said we cannot blame Holding. Several of our players tend to have brain farts. I'm thinking about Ramsdale as well and get Southampton.
Remember what's happening in that scenario, right? It's Holding telling him to go ahead and pass it forward.
Yeah, but Holding didn't make.
He shouldn't have listened.
Right,
But
you're not gonna win
the picture before that is like Holding going, go ahead, go right ahead.
Tony?
There are no debates being won when you say, yeah, but.
Okay.
You're already starting to peg down.
Ramsdale should have chosen someone else. Okay, but these are mistakes that are going to happen with a young
He should
team
have
as
just
well.
kicked the ball fucking 60 yards down
Yeah.
the pitch and been done with it.
Nevertheless, I think Arteta is going to look back at our home form this season and understand maybe we need to be a little bit more prudent going forward, especially the first 15, 20 minutes of games. Stan, you look like you got something to say there.
I did see an interesting stat as well, that a lot of the goals that we concede, they all seem to come down the left side.
Our left side where
Yeah.
Zinchenko is. Yeah.
Where there's this big, massive
Because
hole.
nobody's
on the left
dropping back
actually.
into that hole.
And I think
Yeah.
if you are going
There
to
you
set
have
up to play
backup
against
filming.
Arsenal, if you are setting up to play against Arsenal, surely as a manager, you'd be thinking, okay, now where do they have a weakness? Well, okay, we need a winger that can get onto that left side.
Yeah.
That's the weakness, right? Because either Zinchenko's gone wandering and it's open, or you can get past him anyway, even if he is there.
And look at
And
Gary
the easiest
O'Neill.
thing to do is just a through ball to that left side.
Look at
run into it.
Gary O'Neill's done a great job at Bournemouth. Remember the first goal the Bournemouth scored, ball down out behind Zinchenko there. Liverpool scored a goal or two against us that way as well. And Leeds, I'm not sure if Leeds scored as well early. The Southampton goal as well, the second goal, Zinchenko's found wanting. So I have to really look.
What was the one minute? It was a goal in at the back post, and I can't remember the team, but I remember it was. Zinchenko looks at the guy. He looks at him.
Yeah.
You think, okay, so, and then the ball comes in, and the guy just runs past Zinchenko. Back post.
The third goal would have flicked on a header from the corner.
Yeah.
3-1 down. 3-1 down at that point. Looked dead and buried then, you know. So hopefully these points that we've rescued from losing positions can help us in the coming week or two as well.
That's why I said we are good. We are good for 3 goals in games.
What do you want to see?
No matter how bad our defense is, if you can score 3 goals against it,
goalkeeper taking long kicks.
What?
Ask Stan if they wanted to see a goalkeeper.
Well, I was talking. What do you mean you're asking Stan a question? How does that work?
Don't drag me into it.
No, he's asking you a question while I'm talking.
Fit your question in when there's a gap in the chat.
I gotta talk when I got air in my lungs.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. You are working on it.
You are struggling. That's good.
I'm a lung
struggling health wise. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, anything else on Arsenal's home form? I want to get to.
I just believe that we can score on anyone. We haven't looked that good in the City matches for sure, but we can score pretty much 3 goals on pretty much everybody else in the league. And we need to. I think we need to do that. For me, that's offensively would show a good game when we scored 3 goals like that against most teams in the league. Defensively, we can have clean sheets against most teams in the league as well. So why not, get both of them? For me, that's the perfect game.
Stan?
I'm just thinking that if anyone starts at the left back position other than Kieran Tierney in the next match, then that's it. And then the writing's on the wall there. If he tries something else like Kiwi or Granit Xhaka or whatever, do you know what I mean? Surely this is Kieran Tierney should be coming back into the team, right?
I'm as close to 100% that will happen. That Kieran Tierney will play against Brighton as I can be.
Anybody thought Kirill was coming into the Liverpool match?
No.
Anybody? Is it Crickets?
He should have been.
Crickets.
No. Based on what we saw going into that match, was Kirill like a player? Okay, yes, we're gonna get to see him as that's why I want to see him. If you're gonna spend all the money, bring him in, play him, so we don't have to as a fan, we don't know what is going on in practice, but when we don't see them play,
why
we
do you
assume
spend
they're not
that much money and not play the guy? It just makes no fucking sense. None at all.
I still think that in between the Liverpool game and the Man City game, in between those 2 games, that's where rotation should have happened. In those 2 games, West Ham and Southampton is when we should have rotated and then try and get everybody so that your first 11 are fresh for that Man City game. But he didn't.
I believe that as well. That's why, we need to win a game. what can we do to win a game based on what we've been playing in the previous 2 matches? Southampton. All right, let's bring in Jorginho. He should be able to handle Southampton. Let's bring in Trossard. He's itching to score.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see them get us the win. As you say, you go into the City match with a win. You've
Reece
stopped.
Nelson.
You stopped the pain of the last 2 matches, right? But we
Shout
didn't
for
do
Reece
that
Nelson
either.
as well, isn't it? Reece Nelson could have come in somewhere. Surely.
Now, Kivior, I thought he had a very accomplished and composed game against Newcastle. Gary,
He looked really good. Yeah, this is what we've been asking for. Can he play some football for Arsenal? And he's shown he can. Yes, it's Newcastle on the road, right? I think the difference between that and what we saw in the Liverpool match is that he probably hadn't planned to go into that one, but he has to be ready to play every match. That's on him as being a young player, is that you need to be ready to play at all times. But I have no doubt they prepped him for that Newcastle match, and he was ready to play, and he did. He showed it. Things that they talked about that he can do. Those are the things that we saw, right?
He probably didn't have any first team practice going on. He playing.
What is that? What do you mean first team practice? He's been with the squad since January. Who else is he practicing with?
I'm saying him
I think
practicing
you're talking
with the
about fitness.
starters.
Yeah. Are you talking about fitness, Tony?
No, I'm saying like being on the team that's all the starters,
Right.
not the squad.
He does
players
train.
and the
They do
coaches.
train together every day almost, and I'm sure they would go
That's
through
not
routine.
what I'm saying, Ray.
I hear what you're
I'm saying
saying,
playing on the
Tony, but
pitch at the
guess
same
what?
time.
You're never coming into a team and being able to play with all the starters. That's not how you make a name for yourself,
How it works,
right?
yeah.
You have to go in and play your best football regardless of who's next to you, right? And that's why you practice. So it's not like you understand how Arteta wants to play this, see this thing out. So I get not you can't just bring down your game because you're not playing with the starters. That's how you don't get on the pitch for the big games, right? When you're playing in the Europa League with the second team and you're looking as bad as everybody else,
Well, if
how
you're him, Gary,
do you
do
pick and
think they're gonna
choose
get a
who
start?
comes in the next match? You can't. Somebody needs to shine in those situations, right? That's how I see it, anyways.
When you've been there since January and you start playing in April, are you expecting to play?
The man's itching to play some football. He's been sitting around he came in on his off season for Poland, right? So he hadn't played in a while.
Mid-season came in, and I had an international game there as well to play with Poland, and
Don't
I
get
think
me started on that.
a lot
Ray.
of Arsenal fans sort of had a bad taste in their mouth about Kivior because of that Sporting Lisbon game where
I don't
Matt
believe
Turner,
that was his fault. I don't believe it was.
yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Matt Turner called for the ball. He didn't come for it. And, Kivior leaves it. The guy gets in and scores a goal. So we
What
have.
about Granit Xhaka and his teammate if they're to bring up teammates?
Yeah, listen, Fabian Schär, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
He don't help up other team's players.
I thought Granit Xhaka was the man in the one of my man in the match on Sunday. I think Stan gave it to Ramsdale on the day as well. So another worthy performance from him as well. But I thought Kivior played really well. And listen, Schär.
Jorginho actually got the man of the match award, didn't he?
Yeah.
The real one.
So these are players that are these big game players now, because Jorginho actually said in his interview he loves playing in this kind of atmosphere.
He should be. He's been doing it for a while.
He's been doing it for a long time,
right? So
yeah,
Ishin and Zinchenko and Gabriel and Jesus have played in big games, right?
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that they've and they've won trophies behind that, as opposed to just big games, but you come up short, right? So they have the experience. They've either been on the bench or come into games or started, whatever it may be. So yeah.
Could we say
just talking about Kivior as well? You got
over 6 months.
Go ahead, Stan.
Just talking about Kivior, you got to remember as well. He's come to England and He's found himself in one of the best leagues in the world, if not the best league in the world, in the team that's sitting on the top of the league. So he must be chomping at the bit to get minutes, because there's no way he wants to be
Make
in
it
a team
work.
that wins the league, but you've not really participated yourself. So you don't feel that
Yeah.
you've really earned it. You want to be out there. You want to be part of the title win, right? So he must be like,
Yep.
same as Trossard.
Tony,
Look at Jorginho.
you would-
Jorginho must be like, I can't believe I got out of Chelsea. Can't believe it. Like, I could still be there.
Can
Jeez.
you imagine how happy
Rotting
he
away.
is getting out of that shit show?
out of that shit show that is Chelsea, indeed. So that's Kivior, that's Jorginho. I think Jorginho is a big game player. Can we say Ramsdale now is a big game player?
Sometimes.
Performances he's given us away from home at Anfield.
When he says penalties, maybe.
Yeah, no, he's still got some time. Once again, most of this team, no, they haven't played in big games yet.
Mhm.
Right? What's a big game right
Oh.
now? Semifinal at Real Madrid.
Uh,
After
I
they've
mean-
won two Champions League going in, that's big games. Those are the games we're talking about that we want to be in, right?
Mhm.
We had our opportunity. Like they don't seem like big games now, but those 3 games going into the City match were big games. That's when you show up and you play, right? And you get the win. You win those 3 games. We're sitting 5 points up right now on City. That's 6 points. We're down 1. No matter what they do with their game in hand, we still have a 2-point lead on them, right? That 10-game run of wins, that's how you seal the deal, and you get something at the end of it. So
Yeah, we could have put 10 together, and Man City have gone on and won game after game after game. Law of averages will tell you maybe they're going to drop some points here in the next 4 games. 3 of them are away from home, starting on Sunday. Rule said, as a footballer, you must never be content to sit on the bench. And indeed, we know that our first 11 is so strong with those players. We're looking for those players, squad players, to really challenge the people that are sitting in their positions.
But realistically, Ray, how ready are you to be when you've been there since January? You haven't started 1 minute, came into play. You're not ready.
So who are you talking about? Kivior?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's given some minutes against Liverpool. He comes in, but now he's been given real minutes against Chelsea and Newcastle. And you set yourself a performance level that you can build upon. And I thought he did that against Chelsea, the home game against Chelsea, and he backed it up now against Newcastle with a very, very good composed game behind him. That's the only way you can do it, Tony. These are professional footballers. They have to take their chance when it's given to them.
I'm
You
just
know?
saying you're not to be fully ready when you've sat there for 3.5 months.
Sure, but
know
you
what?
have to show your quality.
They did not spend the money on him for him not to play. I'm sorry, they didn't do
So then
that.
what
Tell
does that
Arteta that.
You
but then what
don't do that. You don't go out there and go, all right, we're in the middle of a title run. We're gonna bring in, we go for our number 1 targets, we fail. We bring in a Trossard, we bring in a Jorginho, and we bring in a Kiwior. We can see why Trossard and Jorginho come in. Nobody saw Kiwior, even though everybody said he's got certain skill sets, just like Fabio Vieira. They've got certain skill sets that people liked. They might need another year, but Arsenal brought them in anyways, right? Brought them in anyways. So if you're going to do that, you better play them, or else you're just wasting their time. You've been better off bringing it, loaning them back out if you're not going to play them. At that point in the season, you can't be bringing in players to sit on the bench. We already have enough of that, right? You got to bring players in that they're going to help you get to the end of this road here.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Kiwior could have done that if he got some more playing time earlier in the season, earlier when he came in. But I think you can't be like we keep talking about. January windows have to be played a certain way. we're not in the point where we're bringing in projects anymore, players that are good for tomorrow. No, January, not in that situation. In that situation, no, you're bringing in players to win something today, before the end of the season, right? That's just me.
But I also think as well, he brings in Kivior,
Very versatile.
who is probably thinking as backup for Gabriel, and Gabriel seems to be playing every minute. But then because of certain injuries and so forth, he's probably looking and thinking, well, I know what Rob Holding can give me. I'm not sure what Kivior can give me yet because I've not been able to really play him. And we're now in a situation where we're fighting for a title. And I don't know if I want to take that gamble just yet. And I think it's probably through trying Rob Holding a few times and seeing, well, I need to try something else because we're losing points here and I need to improve the team. I'm going to have to make that gamble now. And so he calls on Kivior. Kivior's got to be ready to go. Tony's saying, well, he hasn't played for 3 months. You can't pick him. Does that mean we can't pick him to the end of? You can't pick him till next season.
Well, I'm not.
You can't
saying
pick. You
that.
can't
He
pick him now
should be
because he hasn't played, so you can't pick him at
week
all.
after week.
He has to be
The
ready.
guy has to be better than Rob Holding.
But he's a trained athlete. He's training every week. He's also learning. But I just think that maybe, Mikel Arteta was like, well, I know what Rob Holding will give me. I know Rob. I'm not sure yet about Kivior. Is this the time for me to be?
Then why
putting
do
them
you
in.
buy the
But
player
then after the horrid, the performances of Holding, now he's had to take that gamble.
Yeah.
And then this is where you see if it pays off or not.
And Kieran Tierney is there to take his chance on Sunday as well when
if he plays.
we play Brighton.
We hope he plays.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing. We just
Gary,
don't know.
Gary's got to play. Come on,
We
don't do something funky.
I'm
like
just
put
going
Granit
by
Xhaka
past
in
history. Past history has shown. Don't
what's it past history? Zinchenko comes off. Kieran Tierney comes on. That's your past history.
Don't underestimate the Arteta. Right? That's what I mean.
No.
He is a different kind
Believe.
of animal.
Believe.
I wanted to, and I wanted to believe that Trossard would start, and he hasn't. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Eddie Howe complaining about time wasting.
Bit rich.
A little bit rich. A little Lord Fall to Rye, isn't that what we call them?
Yeah, little Lord Fall to Rye.
They come up. Listen. Every manager is going to complain. Arteta is going to whinge about some things he'll get slated for by the media. Pep complains about things, so Eddie's going to do the same thing, right? But even knowing what he did in January to us,
even know that you've seen those stats circulating about the team that time waste the most, the time that doesn't kick the ball out, and it's Newcastle. So he's seen it. He should just wind your neck in and just talk about something else instead of crying about it and putting more of a spotlight on it, so people go hold it up and go, "Have you seen this? See who's at the bottom?"
Yeah.
Even didn't one of their players come out and say basically said I know that we do this kind of thing, so we can't complain. Totally against the manager. Totally against the manager, right? We do this. We do it all the time, so we can't really say shit when it happens to us. So totally the opposite of the manager.
Fair play. I mean, they went, and when they played us at the Emirates, we were really good for 7 or 8 minutes, and Eddie Howe understood we're not going to get out of here with any kind of results unless we bring Willock back, maybe it was San Maximum, whoever, our wingers back, and double team Saka on Martinelli. And they got away with a draw. They got away with a 0-0. Players were going down, holding their heads in that game, milking the clock. But Newcastle fans forget about this. Eddie Howe forgets about this. This is what happened. And they get out of town with a frustrating 0-0 win for us. But we hand that back to them on Sunday, and they're complaining about this. I believe, I've said it before, if you're in the lead, if you're 1-0 up or 2-0 up, you have every right to try to milk that clock.
Think about it. We actually showed them.
Footballer.
We actually showed them how to play their game properly, because when they do it, they only get a point. When we do it, we get all 3. So we're just saying, this is how you should do it.
We do it better.
Yeah.
It needs to be out of a game. It doesn't take fucking 5 minutes to do a throw in.
So yeah,
Standing,
and that
standing
is,
there's a ball. Hold on, going checking the wind. Yeah.
Then they like
bro.
drop 3 fucking balls. They're like, no, this one's too wet. This one's too dry. This
Rule
one's
said Eddie was funny. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Indeed, And Ben White leaned into this. I think Ramsdale leaned into this a little bit. Granit Xhaka leaned into it a little bit as well.
Granit Xhaka was sat on the floor so long, I thought he was going to have a picnic. I was like, brilliant, and he had like a smile on his face as well. And then players are going, get up.
I've said it before. If you're in the lead, you have that right to try to milk the clock, and it's the onus of the other team to keep the ball in play. The referee, if he's good enough, but these referees don't seem to be good enough to hold teams accountable to time wasting. Bazuna did this to the Southampton goalkeeper, did this to Arsenal to a large extent recently. 15, 20-second goal kicks, and probably had 15 or 20 of them. So really, 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 Eddie Howe, you cannot complain about these things when it happens to you, especially since you are one of the teams that really, really does exercise the dark arts. And this is another part of what I enjoyed of this game, Gary, on Sunday as well. Arsenal learning. I think we're slowly learning and becoming streetwise.
And I think we figured out a way for us to do it where like it's not like a lot of times I would see us do this time wasting. I'm like, that's not going to work because we're not even 100%
Good
engaged into it, So it's like we're just trying to do it because that's what everybody's supposed to do. But in that match, we actually figure out a way to do it our way. So it was, if you looked at it, he just went down, but he's still down. Wait a second, he's still down, and it worked for us. And I think we have to figure out how to play. We can't copycat other teams because they're either used to whatever they're used to it or something like that. But for us, that was if that's the way we're going to do it, that's cool because it looked better to me than the way we have done it before. I think it looked different. So for me, it looked different, but it worked for us, and we felt confident doing it as opposed to just trying to waste time and then it backfires because we put ourselves under more pressure and stuff like that, right? So that it worked out. It worked perfectly for us. So.
All right. So listen, a great win here, Gary. Who would be a candidate for your man in the match for Sunday?
So for the Sunday game, no,
Yeah,
it's weird. I didn't think Xhaka, and I thought Odegaard probably more than not. I know Jorginho controlled the middle, and that's what we've been lacking. So
Odegaard was great.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think we had a lot of good players stand up. I think Odegaard probably for me.
Yeah.
It was like I said, an honorable mention to Kiwior because we needed to know what he's all about.
Yeah, and he had a composed game. For me, Kiwior, I didn't notice him too much, and that's a sign of maybe a good defender doing his job properly. So yeah, we get out of there with a win, and we got 25 wins now this season, Gary.
Yep.
3 more of these wins, and we get 28. And we'll see what happens if we can get to. That'll be 90 points. It will equal what the Invincibles had done in terms of points tally. They actually won 26 games. Go ahead.
Okay, now I was gonna say they didn't have 90 points though, right? So
yeah, they did. The 26 wins and 12 draws for 90 points. Yeah.
Oh.
So we could actually equal that tally of the Invincibles within these next 3 games.
Okay.
So
yeah, we just need to do 90 just to finish off this season strong. That's really what. So the goal right now is to finish off this season strong. We'll see where we stand at the end of it, but just win another 3, get another 3 points.
Maybe this is a rivalry that's going to fester. It could be one of those grudge games coming up for seasons to come because Newcastle don't like us, and maybe we're developing a hatred for them as well. And this will be a tasty little fixture moving forward. Newcastle are probably not going to go anywhere. They're going to improve. We're going to hopefully improve. this coming summer as well and be better as well. But what do you think that the FA would approach this time wasting with any kind of measures, Stan, moving forward, or you think they're happy with what they have on the field and just keep rolling with it?
Well, I mean, what's the alternative? Every time the ball goes out of play, you stop the clock.
The game clock, yeah.
Stop the clock. And then when the ball comes back into play, you begin the clock.
Yeah.
Maybe if you did something like that, then there's no point in time wasting, is there? Yeah.
And nobody gets to dispute the 6 or 7 minutes that are going to go up at the end of 90 minutes then, because you can see the game clock. When it expires, it expires.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's how the clock. I believe the clock works in college.
Yeah.
College soccer over here is that the clock stops, so you don't really. There's no, like, as you say, extra time. It's just this is how much time is left on the clock.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, the FA, the Premier League, always seems to be 5 steps behind every other sport.
Yeah.
So I don't really see that happening next season, but it has to be something coming in because
Because if you're gonna, if
Would
you're
anyone
not
be
going
adverse
to
to that?
if you're not gonna play 90 minutes of football, then you might as well have commercials, right?
Mhm.
If the game's 90 minutes, but you only get to play 53, guess what? That's just a typical NFL game, right? It's 60 minutes, but they don't play for 60 minutes. There's a lot
Yeah.
of timeouts and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, a lot of waiting around. So you might as well just have commercials anyways. What's the point of,
You could Stan will know. You could get a 15, 20-second commercial and for every
I heard
goal
that-
kick that's taken.
I heard that the ball was only in play for 55 minutes. So does that not mean that the paying crowd played for 90 minutes of football? They're only getting 55 minutes. Have they been shortchanged? And so, if the alternative is having, like a Gary says, a clock, there's no extra time because you play for 90 minutes and the clock stops. Would anyone be adverse to that change? I wouldn't.
No. I think the frustration comes on the field and in the terraces because one team's trying to slow the game down and the other team's desperate to get it moving. And you become frustrated at the officials. You become frustrated with your fellow professional footballers. And things can happen in that kind of atmosphere.
Sports entertainment, right?
Yeah.
It is about entertaining the crowd. Nobody liked it when they played behind closed doors. So, if the paying crowd is paying for 90 minutes of football and they're only getting 55 minutes, I'd say that I'd been shortchanged.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just pay for 55 minutes of football then?
Yeah. So listen, that hopefully they do something moving forward. I've seen something where go ahead, Gary.
is it a problem because Arsenal's doing it, or is it a problem because it's a problem in football?
Very, very good question. Yeah.
I don't want Arsenal to do it.
No, but I
don't
just
want no one else
whenever
to
we
do it
do
either.
something, it's a big issue, right? Whenever
would
we
have
get
to
away with
ask-
something, it's a big issue. But other teams do it,
We'd have to ask non-Arsenal fans if that is what they see. Is it just something because we're very personal to it? We're very close to these things, and we feel the way we maybe ruled a lot of players and officials 20 years ago with a superior team, that they feel some kind of way about how they grew up watching Arsenal, and they have some innate bias against us,
But it doesn't matter what they say because the chart shows on one of the charts we're about in the middle, and on one of the other charts we're kind of in the top quarter. So it shows that we're not the culprits and the architects of time wasting. There's a far more other teams that are doing it far worse than us.
But a team like Man City, they don't get called out for this.
Oh, because they're at the top of the chart. They're the best ones at keeping the ball in play. Man City, they win.
Because you know what? Because they know that. Yeah, I mean, because teams never get the damn ball. Think about how often a team takes the ball off a City player. It doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
They don't make really terrible passes where they pass it to the wrong team, right? I mean, they are pretty solid on hand. They maintain the possession.
Did you?
And teams would rather not try to press because if they do, they know they're in trouble. So they're okay to sit back.
I know Gary watched it from what he said earlier. Stan and Tony, did you see the Champions League semi-final with City and Real Madrid?
Yeah, I had it on, but I was doing some admin work.
Okay, my observation was
1-1.
that 1-1. And we will talk about how each team played. My observation from the referee was I thought the referee was very good and didn't have this bias that the Premier League referees seem to have toward Manchester City. And maybe all of you can chime in on this if I'm barking up the wrong tree here, but I feel
That's
like
just not good enough, Ray.
who?
How many of them? How many English refs do you see in the World Cup or Euros or whatever?
Are you saying they're not good enough in terms of they give Jack Grealish a free kick where there really isn't a free kick, or they indulge
they're not
Jack
fucking
Grealish?
consistent. VAR is not consistent. The referees aren't consistent.
That incident with Carvajal in the
but all
first
the
half
time
with Jack Grealish,
but all the
referees in
time
England will be handing out 2 yellow cards for each of those players, and this referee seemed to dismiss a lot of what Jack Grealish gets involved in things on the field that he doesn't need to get involved in. That's part of his game, in my opinion. I just feel like this referee did not want to deal with the histrionics of the Manchester City players. And I feel the English Premier League does not actually help City in this situation. They give City free kicks and penalties where there are really none sometimes in the Premier League. And City go into Europe and they don't really get these calls or decisions.
Because they're good referees.
Exactly. But they also don't have a bias as well.
I can care less about the bias. I don't care where the fucking refs were born.
I have to disagree there. I mean, if we're talking about if we talk about conspiracies, right, and you're saying, well, the referees are favouring City, I would look at it the other way, right? Because it seems to me that the FA, who are bringing all of these charges against Man City, seems to me that they've got an axe to grind with Man City. And surely, if that was the case, their minions, being the referees, would also be on the same page. So they wouldn't be giving them squeezes here and there and turning blind eyes. I would have thought that they would have been more stringent and overzealous in giving some of their decisions, because, I think maybe they look at Man City as interlopers, this state-funded organization that's come into the sport with all of their sort of oil money, and you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is just my opinion, by the way. Nothing that I know. I'm just saying,
these allegations are 4 or 5 years in the making, right? And we don't know when the charges are going to be brought against City, or if they have been brought against City already, or when it's going to be litigated through the courts. And Stan, I don't have confidence that City are going to be charged. Nobody really has confidence that City are going to be charged.
No, all I'm saying is, all we're doing is speculating. But from your side of it, you're saying, well, I think that, the refs are going easy on them, and you gave the reasons why. I'm just saying, from my standpoint, I would actually say, if anything, if there was collusion, that they would be going harder on them, not doing them any favors, if there was anything untoward going on. Not that I know that there is.
Yeah.
Ray, why isn't anybody going after Chelsea? 50 players, 650 million paid. You're not in financial fair play.
Well,
I can tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the way that they structured the deals, right? Because by giving these players like 8-year deals, it's worked on the balance sheet each year at a time with the banks and the repayments. So they're not actually broken any rules. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but it's the key to it is giving players these long 8-9 year contracts. It somehow breaks down the annual payments that they have to make.
And they've actually nobbled themselves for 5 years from now. They won't be able to do much 4 or 5 years from now. So I actually said to somebody, I don't think Chelsea will make the Champions League in the next 3 years. I don't know who I said it to, but I said it. I don't see City getting back into the top four, or Chelsea getting back into the top four, for the foreseeable future. And Frank Lampard hasn't taken them anywhere. I actually said, how far will Frank Lampard take Chelsea down toward the bottom of the league? And they're not going to be relegated because they have just enough points, But I thought Madrid played City as well as they could in this Champions League semi-final, and that's the mark of a good team. Madrid, they almost have like an aura about them that you have to fight the aura. Man City have to compete with the aura of Madrid as well as the players on the field.
They play
And
so
also-
very different. Sorry, Gary, go on.
No, I was just going to say, and they also have the experience, as people will say all the time, and confidence that no matter what happens at the Etihad, they can probably get the goals that they need to get the win or move on, right? So they've done it. They've shown that they can do it. They haven't done it at Etihad, but why not? You know what I mean? And Vinicius is a really good player, so that will be a really good match, because somebody's going to have to score, and I think City's going to want to score, right? And then I think Real Madrid is okay to let them try.
Yeah, this could be a game of wits. Who goes first, who breaks out of their pattern first. Stan, you were going to respond.
They've played so very different styles of football, Man City and Real Madrid. Real Madrid almost play like an older, more rigid kind of style of football compared to Man City, who have a lot more movement. But Real Madrid always have the right players to play that. They always have the best players, I think that Vinny Jr. is going to be, he's probably going to be like the next Neymar. Neymar's sort of getting a little bit older now. I think this is the guy that's going to be the next big Brazilian star, so to speak.
Yeah. They played the way they could only play in the first stages of the game, when City had a lot of possession and pushed them back and played really well. They retreated, closed down the spaces in midfield, and stayed compact. And they gradually worked themselves into the game where they maybe scored against the run of play, and got that goal through Vinicius Jr. And it was an unstoppable shot, really.
Something that I noticed as well, and I was watching a breakdown of the game, was that when they were showing you where the players were, Haaland was having to come deeper to get the ball, and Kevin De Bruyne was actually further forward for most spells of the game than Haaland.
Yeah, and I thought Haaland wasn't really a factor in the game. Very, very well marked by Rudiger.
Yeah.
And if Madrid can keep Haaland out of the game and not having good looks at goal, they could possibly go through in this.
Well, that's the thing. Both teams really good. Both goals really good.
Yeah.
I mean, those are like one, and like you're gonna get one opportunity to make that shot, and both times they did, right? I mean, the top players on both sides of the pitch basically did what they needed to do, and 2 goals, right?
Yeah.
Against 2 of the top teams in the world.
This is the game that Haaland has been bought for. These next 2 games, if they go to the final, he's been bought to win the Champions League.
He's been bought to just push them over the top, right? Because they've not been able to do it. This is the missing piece. So is it a fact that if they don't win the Champions League, and it's all well and good him being on 51 goals and getting the accolades, but that's not what the owners want, right? That's no good to them.
Yeah, and not what Pep wanted.
So we got to wait till next year again. Fucking hell.
Yeah. It is, and it is a cup competition. But they have been consistently.
Pep responds and goes, yes, because I need Jude Bellingham.
Real Madrid is like, sorry.
Real
Madrid's like, sorry, we already got him. That's basically the word on this.
I think Madrid made Haaland look quite raw and not. Haaland's good at finishing things off. I don't think he's a great footballer outside of the box. Tony, you want to say something?
I had a question. Am I the Am I the only one
Yes.
that thinks
Yeah,
the
most likely.
semifinals that thinks the semifinals should be a one-legged
One leg.
affair? I
One
think the
leg.
finals should be two-legged, not the semifinal.
The old switcheroo.
I see what you did
Tony's
there, Tony.
moving the goalposts again.
I'm not
I see what you
moving it.
did
I
there.
thought that for a long time. I don't.
A one-legged semi-final.
Talking about one
and a
leg, that could be a
two-legged
segue
final.
into to remind everybody about Tony's
Yeah.
GoFundMe. It's a good
Please,
segue.
yeah.
So put the thing up, Ray, so people can see it.
Yeah. I hope the total has gone up since then, Tony.
We're still trying to chip away to get Tony's set of wheels.
There we go.
as
Help
you all know.
Tony.
There you go.
He needs a wheelchair now, right? You need the wheelchair.
And another long.
You're not in the Olympics anymore, but you just need the wheelchair to get around, right?
I want to look like Professor X for how much that thing costs.
You don't want to be.
Tony-
Who was
Tony
that
showed me,
Australian?
Tony showed me a
Who's
picture
that
of his
Australian
bathroom.
guy with
Right?
the
Tony
like,
showed me a picture of his bathroom. There were so many tablets in it. It looked like his own pharmacy. It was like Boots.
That was the kitchen stand.
It was like a kitchen. A lot of
um
drugs in there, man.
is where does this semi-final stand now? Who's the favorites? Who can you say will go through? Is it very finely balanced
And it's
At the Etihad, right?
at the Etihad?
City should be expecting to win this. It's
Should
just,
be
you don't go back-
expected again.
They should be, yeah.
But,
It should
yeah.
be theirs to
But
win.
Madrid
Like
always
if
find
you,
a way, don't they?
Find
yeah,
a way.
well, that's the
Always find a
problem.
way.
They're playing against the other team, and they have
They
answers.
always find a way.
Benzema didn't score in the last game, right?
Mhm.
I don't recall hearing Modric's name too often.
Benzema didn't score. Haaland didn't score. So
Yeah, yeah.
you
So
probably could feel like both of them will score in this game. And I think Man City have a very good record at the Etihad. So it's all on Pep Guardiola and maintaining his players and having the mentality. The one thing that concerns us now with all of this is
Is it good for us
There's
if
a
they
lot-
continue on? Do you think? Is it good for us if they continue on to the next round or get crushed? Or
no,
you know?
I'd like them to go out now.
Yeah?
Next midweek, yes.
we don't want to play in more games and being fatigued.
Well,
a little bit.
the next game is going to be after the end of the league, so it doesn't really matter to us. Do you know what I mean? Next game is a final in June. Our season wraps up on the 29th or whatever it is
Good
of
point.
May.
Yeah.
So I don't need City to have to go to a final. I don't care about them. And actually, I would like them to have more hurt. And I would want Madrid to win this game.
if they have more hurt, then they're probably going to win the next 4 Premier League matches.
But you're right though, Ray. Right? They're paying this guy. They're paying this kid over 500 grand a week,
Yeah.
whatever it is, 580 or whatever it might be, and it's for this reason. It's for this competition.
And I felt like Stan, and Gary and Tony, I felt like he felt that pressure in this game.
Yeah.
I can't get inside of his head and know what he's thinking, but you gotta feel he knows he's there to score a goal in this tie. And he didn't do it in his first leg, so he's got to score in the second leg. You're a striker.
Yeah,
You're,
he's the first leg and
you have
second
to
leg.
score goals, Tony. You're a striker. That's your job, And he's been paid very well to score goals, and he's got to get them
A
over
lot
this
of money
hump.
in it. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
A week.
Yeah. It's got to feel. It's
That has to have a lot of incentives and stuff in it, though.
You don't think he's
Yeah.
gotten any of them? Like you don't think he's got any of the incentives?
No,
The
I'm just saying,
the man's got 50 goals or something like that in the season. You think
Just
he's got no? You don't think he's covered his incentives already?
just like Eddie. Eddie's got some incentives.
Imagine that
too.
one week of Haaland's wages into
I think
Tony's
he might have hit
GoFundMe.
some, Gary.
1 week of Haaland's wages into Tony's GoFundMe. We could get him like a gold wheelchair
could
encrusted
fly.
in diamonds.
I could have a Pope
You know what I
mobile.
mean?
Give me the Pope mobile. I'll
Yeah.
ride around in that thing.
That's a lot of money, isn't it? Oof. Fair play to him.
BX Gunner. I think Real have the upper hand in all areas. The upper
always
hand in
find a
all
way.
areas. That's why Rudiger is one of the best defenders. Yeah.
And who
Can-
gave him
can-
up to go? Who let him go? I mean,
Chelsea.
maybe they didn't let him go, but I
Was
mean,
it free?
yeah,
Wasn't it a
well,
free transfer?
you know what? The one Like
Chelsea,
that's
man.
just the dumbest thing that you're gonna think about. You know,
Gary,
it's
the
he got to the
players.
point where he could just walk away.
But
What are
Gary,
you doing? Like I hated him as a defender
you
when he
don't
played. He played against
you
him because
don't
you
like
knew
this.
he's gonna get in your head, and he always did. He always like he needled you, and you're like, I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you as
I
as a fan of
I
the other
did
team.
not like Gabriel Jesus. I was thinking about this today. I did not like Gabriel Jesus as a City player when we played him because he needled us, he was physical, and he was good. And now we got him on our team, and I love him. You know, if
I don't.
Rudiger is there to irritate Haaland, and he's been doing that in his first leg. And we see,
Right.
I think I saw a clip where he's like poking him in the side for part of the game, if not all of it. And Haaland, you don't like Rudiger?
No,
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't
That's
like
his job.
Jesus.
He's doing his job.
You don't like him now as an Arsenal player?
We would have won the league without him.
It's possible.
Okay,
It's
so
possible.
who's gonna play for him this season?
I know where he's going with this. Trossard would have remained as the false nine, and we
Oh,
would
you
have
mean
probably,
after the January window?
yes,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, so sandwiched in between these two games is City on Sunday have to go to Everton and Sean Dyche. Stan, you're an expert on Sean Dyche. So can Everton upset them? And you know what? I haven't seen the highlights of the Brighton game, but they're coming in off a win against Brighton 5-1 at Brighton, which is a crazy result.
Who knows? Can they nullify them and a 0-0 draw or something? I don't know.
Is there
Hard
any
to tell,
opal
right?
fruits involved?
Is there any open fruits involved, Stan?
You know, but when you say that stupid phrase, well, on paper, you'd think that Man City won't have any problems getting the 3 points. But who knows, right? Who knows? It's a fingers crossed one, isn't it?
Man City are bound to rest. Imagine you play Haaland and he gets injured. He can't be playing on Sunday. Alvarez is going to come in. You know, there's a few other players that may not play. Grealish may not play. Mahrez may come in. You know,
right?
And Everton still needs a win or two to get out of trouble. And
They could
coming
take
in
out,
off that 5-1.
they could take out Kevin De Bruyne and put in Foden.
Mm-hmm.
I know. So much at their disposal, right? You know?
Yeah, it's still going to be fingers crossed on Sunday for us Arsenal fans.
Laporte hasn't had a game in a while. They've got Laporte just hanging around. They could put Laporte in for a game.
In terms of the conditions, though, this is probably the best case scenario that we could have hoped for. Man City have a semi-final of the Champions League where they need to protect their team for the second leg, but they have to go to Everton. Could something happen, Gary, on Sunday?
So far, it hasn't looked like it's made a difference who they play. I mean,
Anybody want to guess what that is?
That's Haaland's monthly wage.
No, that would be Holland if he had Aubameyang's 40,000 goal bonus.
He probably has it, Tony. He probably has it.
I think he's got it.
I don't.
He knows
I
what.
doubt
Yeah,
if
he
has
knows what
one
the goal
like that.
bonus is. Jeez.
He
That's
broke
2 million.
He's tied the Premier League record. I think there's no there's no incentive that said, guess what?
Yeah.
I need you to go 10 goals over the league record, please.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's what happened.
Also, another point I'd like to bring up is the notion the players aged 28-30 are not in our plans. All top teams have players over 30, world-class level.
No,
We
I've
got
always
too many
said,
of
and I've
them,
said
though.
this multiple times, and I don't say it as often anymore. Age dynamic is key. Go back and look at the Bayern Munich team when Muller was 22. Ribery and Robin were in their high 20s. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now look at Bayern Munich now with Muller in his 30s, and the young players they have. As you say, you need to have a good number of older and young players in your squad, and they need to be contributors. We don't have players, or we didn't have players 28 and older that contributed.
Mm-hmm.
We do now. Do we need more? I don't know if we need more. Because I mean, if you think about where we have Trossard, who's 28. You have Jorginho, 30. Partey, 28. And I think if he stays, Xhaka, right, is
yes.
right. So you've
El
got four
Neni.
players. You got 4 players. Well, El Neni, I don't think should even be part
You
of that
brought
list.
me. So you brought me in, and maybe BX Gunner did this, and it's in my notes, but I overlooked it. You brought me into something, Gary. We need to discuss. Is Granit Xhaka going to stay for a couple more years at Arsenal?
He's always
he-
going to. Sure, no.
He says he wanted to get Arsenal to, basically
Champions League.
I think I don't know if he said it exactly like that, but I think he wants to get them to, the top of the
The
mountain
thing
kind
he
of thing,
kept them
right?
out of for 6 years. I think.
It wasn't just him, to be fair.
It would be nice to say it was just all him, because then we just get rid of him and it's fixed. I doubt.
Where do you not think that was fair?
I don't think-
He's not the only reason. If you look
He
at
didn't
the way
help the situation, but he's not the creator
Him
of
and
this.
Mustafi single-handedly.
Hey,
each
that's
got
Colonel
5 to 10
Mustard,
points a
okay?
season.
Colonel Mustard, you know better, Tony. It's Colonel Mustard.
I got pneumonia. I can say Mustafi for
Sure.
once.
So the question is then, will Granit Xhaka stay a couple more years?
Well, it depends on what role, doesn't it? There's talk of buying a couple of midfielders, and I'm all for keeping him for another season, as long as he's playing more of a backup role, because you're going to be in 4 competitions. He could come in quite handy, sprinkled in a team of some up and comers or some youngsters, for cup games or whatever. Come in handy in situations like that. But I would like to see.
situations.
I would like to caveat that by saying, hopefully, I would at some point like to see us upgrade in that left 8 position.
Yeah, which is going to bring us on to probably talking about the summer as
You have
well.
a garage with 31 cars in it. Granit Xhaka's always that get driven.
We have to get into a situation where we do want Arteta to use the squad more. We're maybe going to see it with Kieran Tierney for the last 3 games here. Kivior, and we're actually seeing a situation.
His Arsenal career, right?
What, Tony?
Said his last 3 games of his Arsenal career.
We don't know. I'd probably, if I'm Kieran Tierney, I would not trust that I'm going to get as much minutes, even with Champions League. So, yeah, probably Kieran Tierney would want to probably move on this summer. Right? But we should get upwards of 40 million, if not more than 40 million for a player like that.
Nope.
I do think it's interesting that there have been links with him to Man City, and somebody else mentioned it again today on a podcast I was listening to earlier, and it just makes me think that if Pep's supposed to be,
I'll be right back.
If Pep's supposed to be like ahead of the curb, then why did we take their inverted left back? And then now there's rumours that he's after buying our left back, who we can't get into the team because he doesn't play inverted, but Pep wants him. I always like to try and outsmart what my
Where
opponents.
did you first hear that at? Because I've heard you say this for like 2 months now.
What?
About Tierney going to the City.
No, I've only said it for a couple of weeks.
It was out there. It was
yeah, and it just
put it
makes you
out
think, though, right? If he's not what Arteta thinks, why is the master, his master, looking at maybe considering him? I still think that it's funny as well, right? People say other people talking about Zinchenko and the left back situation and how he's really good for some matches, and in some matches maybe not. But the thing is, Mikel Arteta does seem to play him in every match if he's fit. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't look like it's like I'm going to use you for this matches, and in other matches I'll have a left back more like Tierney for a bit of variety, depending on our opponent. It just seems to me that Zinchenko seems to be his favoured for that position. And as BX said, Cancelo links. Isn't there a clause in his contract at Bayern? I think it's like a 70 million. I think that's a lot of money for us to spend on Cancelo
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
for right back, right? Was he going to play ahead of Ben White now?
How did he become being a left back when he's always central midfield or left midfield?
Who?
Zinchenko, it's just weird seeing him there. He doesn't belong there. Even in the inverted role, it's just play him up one spot where Zaka's at.
Well, people say that he is a midfielder, but they play him at the left back position. So, I mean, I never really watched him play on international duty where he plays in the midfield. But I just found it interesting that when Mikel Arteta has been experimenting in that left 8 position, why has he never tried Zinchenko there and Tierney as a left back? He's never tried that. He's never gone there. He's never put Zinchenko starting in midfield. So I don't know what the deal is.
And as a consequence, never started Kieran Tierney in that position either. You know what I mean? As a consequence of that. So, but Kieran Tierney's got to come in left back on Sunday for me. Jorginho is another one. What's happened to Partey? I think he's wore down. Might be carrying an injury.
You called it. You said 24 men.
I did.
You said 24, and this is
didn't want to be right.
I'm not paying for it, but we're seeing. And you know what? If we had a full squad with a decent backup behind him, he wouldn't have had to play as much.
Yeah.
In reality, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he would have rotated around probably, and that's what we're looking for, to have a full squad. And players like Partey wouldn't have had to play as much. And
we're seeing this in the league outside of Man City. We're seeing Man United are going backwards now because they've played a lot of games in cup competitions. They're paying for it now because they're getting tired and have injuries at the end of the season. Ourselves, we didn't rotate.
Did what Liverpool did last season, right?
Yeah.
They just chased the cup, and
is there something to be said for starting slowly and finishing strongly? You know, maybe next year we need to do this. Be a little bit more certain.
I like the flat track we were on. Just
would
have the right players in.
You have to, like you said, Tony. You have to maintain that by rotating your squad. Gary's been saying it. Stan's been saying it. We've all been saying it. You got to maintain this throughout the season.
You got Trossard. You got the new center back. Got Jorginho. They're pieces. Why not use them?
What do we think about the Brighton coach? Has he had he's done a good job there, right? De Zerbi.
He's done good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't missed a beat. You know,
he did promise on Sunday that you would see a reaction from his team. So we can only expect that Brighton are going to play well against us. It's another test. Cast your minds back to last season. We lost 2-1 there at home to Brighton as well. I think Trossard actually scored against us. And was it Caicedo scored the second goal? But Odegaard getting the consolation.
Ray, only you remember this type of shit.
Tony, you've got good memory too. Well, Stan, it's got to be another test for Arsenal. You know,
I just remember who screws me over at.
Another thing to put right.
Things with Brighton. Things with Brighton have got great scouts, didn't they? How they find these players.
Yeah,
and we have no scouts.
You know, they always find the player before the player goes on to the bigger move. You know, they seem to get the player at that time where they don't have to pay as much for them, but then the player when they leave, you know, they get good money for them. Trossard notwithstanding, because obviously that was a personal sort of something personal was going on there with the management, and the deal just fell into our favour. But they look like they're going to make a lot of money, aren't they, with some of the players? Well, they made some money off of us with Ben White. You know, they're going to make good money off Caicedo at some point. And you got to think as well, McAllister is going to make some good money for them. And at some point, Matoma as well, if he continues.
And even Pascal.
And now they've got in that Solly March. as well. They've got
Gross.
quite a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's out, I believe, this weekend. So
There
we
is.
don't.
I saw somewhere, Gary. There is a number of injuries for Brighton, like 5 or 6 first-team players may not start this game. But for our part, we just have to keep winning, right? And
Did you send them lasagna, Ray? So what happened?
I make a mean lasagna, Tony. So
Or you can just send me in there. I'm like
for our part, we have to continue to win. We'll know what City have done or have not done by the time we take to the field against Brighton, and we will know what we have to do. And here's the thing, Tony. We have 3 games left. 2 of them are at home. We play away at Nottingham Forest, and we play home to Brighton and Wolves. City have 3 away games: Everton, Brighton, and Brentford. And they play Frank Lampard's Chelsea at home in the midst of a Champions League quest as well. Got to keep hoping, right?
That's really the scare of me.
I just think if Man City are going to slip up anywhere and have a banana skin, I think it may be either Brighton away or Brentford away.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not Fat Frank away.
I'd like to think Sean Dyche might have something to do with our weekend as well, Stan. Who knows? Does anyone want to throw in any other topic to talk about before we get out of here? You're all very quiet.
I've got nothing else.
I wanted to talk about something, but I forgot. What it was.
Declan Rice. You sent me something earlier. I thought it was very interesting as well, Stan.
Yeah.
And I agree with everything. Declan Rice could be that player who becomes like a lot of the final piece to this Arsenal jigsaw puzzle. But
a lot of money.
It's not going to be.
West Ham have already laid their stall out, haven't they? They've already gone public and said, 120 million is the asking price for him.
Yep.
So I mean, if this is the player that Mikel Arteta wants, are you allowed to put feelers out now before the window opens? Are you allowed to officially contact West Ham?
Yes.
And
not official. No, you have back channels. We talk to the agents.
You should start laying the groundwork now.
I believe they are. I believe they have been.
No, but I mean, I don't think it's going to be 120. I don't know what player they can provide them with to knock it down to 100 and where we're going. Like, what player are you knocking it down 20 mil that we have?
Smith Rowe.
There's a number of players we have that West Ham would be happy to have.
Like.
Can we just
we don't want to let go a lot of those players you're talking about.
Yeah, correct.
Maybe ESR just because of the injury concerns.
Can we have Can we have a sit back 6 that's out on loan and just pile them up over there?
Nobody takes that, Tony.
6.
The fact that that's their name means they're not going anywhere.
And Eddie and Ketty are there. Tavares could go there. I know they wouldn't be a lot, right?
For 20 mil, though, you're saying 20 mil, and that's not gonna. Nobody's buying them for 20 mil.
I did have one question, though, right?
Good shout, Pepe. 20. Go ahead, Tony. Yeah.
Last year, we had 2. What did we have? Wing backs. You had Cedric. You had the other one.
Yeah.
Now,
Tavares.
These guys are supposedly fullbacks, but they're being used as wingbacks. So why didn't he keep the guys away? Why didn't he play with them that way last year? You see that? Tavares can go out there and score.
I mean, whatever about Tavares, I never really rated Cedric that he could do anything that Tavares could do.
He said he was the best crosser of a ball on the team.
He might have been trying to boost his confidence. Did you see that with Cedric? I didn't. BX said West Ham are blowing smoke. They're in no position to command that fee that high. It's the last
He
year
was
to have
better
the
than
spell.
Kearney at crossing a ball, that's for sure.
If Cedric was still here, he'd probably be playing now, and Rob White probably be shunted at some point. Would have been shunted back into the middle next to Gabriel.
I
Guarantee
don't
it. If
think.
Cedric was still here, that's obviously the first move before you go to holding, right?
I don't think Arteta rates Cedric enough to play him now in this team.
No, I'm
This
saying, but if he
season.
was still here, if we hadn't managed to get him out in line and he was here,
Yeah, I
Then-
was thinking that for
You
the
know what I
last
mean?
couple of weeks.
Tommy has you out. Do you know what I mean?
'Cause
Sure,
He fits what style he plays now.
recognize right back, and that's a little bit scary for me to think about.
Recognize
what do you think
fullback,
about Tommy
not right
Asu?
back.
Because with Tommy Asu, right? I mean, you look at Tierney, his injuries have
has
all
to
been
go.
different things. His injuries have all been different things, never the same thing. But Tommy Asu, he always seems to be. He comes back and gets another thigh strain.
Yeah, but they're all different muscles, though. They're all different muscle injuries.
I thought a thigh was
It's
a
not the
thigh.
same.
Well,
They're different parts.
we can't have two players that one can play multiple positions, but two are typically gonna seem to never are gonna get injured. All right.
Mhm.
I mean, that's where we are, right? I mean, no, I guess it's more on the Tomiyasu, but Tomiyasu is versatile, but he's not available, so it's not really good for
No
us.
good to us. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like
Where we're
versatility-
heading.
and I think
Yeah.
part of the versatility issue, not part of the reason why he's injured, I believe, is because he doesn't play. Either he's going to play enough and he'll be fine, or he sits idle and never gets his body right. So then when he comes in, he's off. You know, he kind of off that schedule where you're playing and you're resting kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so he just comes up lame. So either he plays for us regularly, or he's not on the squad anymore because we can't deal with that anymore.
Yeah,
It's just-
he was another one like Kearney before he came to Arsenal, not playing 25. Same with Zinchenko, not playing over 25 games.
Where we're going, we can't have players who are going to be
Only time
injured.
Zinchenko played over 25 games was over in Russia.
What is the injury with Zinchenko? What's up with him?
Oh,
Thought it was a
seems like
groin-
he keeps getting hurt.
Groin injury that forced him off against Newcastle. So here's me saying, yeah, he brings Kieran Tierney on after 60 minutes. Turns out it was probably a groin injury that forced Arteta into making that change.
Of course
for
it
Tierney.
was, right? Why else would he switch it? 60 minutes in the league.
Maybe some players, they find our training regime maybe more rigorous than where they came from. I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
BX says he believes the training ground is cursed. LOL. Yeah, where we're going next season in Champions League and cup competitions and the Premier League, we cannot afford 2 or 3 players that are going to be out for big chunks of the season. You know, where we're going, we need every player, we need availability, we need sustainability and performances as well.
Yeah,
I know
if you look at all the
Vance's
players that we have
Stan.
that if they were healthy would be in a good shape. I mean, Milsuf Rowe, Nelson, Tomiyasu, you know, players that if they were healthy, they would be part of a rotation and then we'll be much better off because of it. Nope, they're not healthy enough, right? So Partey, same thing. He didn't have anybody behind him, so he had to play all the games, right?
Yeah.
Boom. It's a numbers game. We just don't have the right numbers, so we're killing our players.
Right.
It doesn't look like Saliba's going to be back before the end of the season either.
No, they're both out. They're both out. Zinchenko and Saliba
Sounds
out.
quite bad what's happening with his back.
I think they're gonna. I believe he's doing the surgery, if I recall.
Yeah, they said that about from the get-go, though, right, Gary?
Well, they said, but then but they didn't say he was out.
Tony, give me a number between 1 and 7.
6.9.
This is why I go to Stan and Gary.
You said a number. He gave you a number. Now you're upset. I don't get it. What's up with that?
Give me a number without decimal points.
The whole
That's
number.
right.
Is that what
A
you want?
whole number, yeah.
See, your question was wrong.
Sure.
2.
Side with your friend there. Sure.
No, you gave him. You asked the question, he answered it, and you got pissed off because.
Hey,
Okay.
me and Gary haven't fought
Okay.
once today. You be nice, Ray.
Gary, give me a number between 1 and 7.
5.
Okay, so I just did the mock draw for the Champions League. From pot 1, we got Barcelona. From pot from pot 2, we got Atletico Madrid. So those are the 2 teams in our Champions League
Yay.
group.
Wow, you really hate
We're
us.
going to be 3rd seed. Barcelona and Atletico Madrid.
Yay, on to jumping off into the
Don't you think we could beat Atletico Madrid and get points against them?
The way
next
Arteta's,
season?
well, hopefully we'll see how depending on how Arteta plays it, right?
Yeah.
How many times have I played in the final and semi-final of the Champions League, Ray?
You're talking about history. Yeah, Tony. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to say goodnight. Stan, thanks for joining us.
Good night.
All right. Gary, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everyone, for
And
joining us.
Tony, thank you for joining us and giving us another memorable thing that you said that I forgot already. But there you go.
It wasn't all the animal sounds I
You
made with my
blamed
coughing.
our home performances on the anthem before the games played and the crowd attendance of people. But you did say you were being facetious, right?
On part of it.
Part of it. I give you an out. You don't even take it.
You don't think a Butler's player, there's only 40,000 up there.
What?
When there's 40,000 fans in a
So
60,000.
okay, I give you an out, but you still feel like you're right
He's like
here.
doubling down on it. Like, but you
Ray.
lost. No, I'm going to double down on it. No, but
Ray,
you lost. I'm doubling
Are
down.
you inspired by a 2/3 full stand?
I don't think it affects what happens on the field. Let me just say that much, right?
Your coach thought differently. He thought crowd made all the difference.
All right. Mother's Day is on Sunday. I don't know what's happening on Sunday. We're probably not having a show on Sunday, so we might do something Saturday. I don't know. But we shall see you on the next one. And do you celebrate Mother's Day in Canada?
No, we did the English one. I did the English one. My mum's English.
I did the English
A few
one.
months ago, right? In March.
Yeah.
So I have to buy a card now and hold it for about 9 or 10 months. That's what I do.
That's not what you do. I know what you do, right?
What do I do, Tony?
You wait till a day after Mother's Day and go buy a card 50 to 70% off. And you're like,
Not
there you go,
true.
Ma.
Not true. Listen,
Ma, look.
we'll have a show.
card.
We'll have a show of some sort this week. But until then, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you, Tony. Take care of yourself, Stan. Take care of yourself, Gary. Take care of yourself. Thank
right.
you, everybody. We go against Brighton. Let's get 3 points and keep the pressure on City. Take care, everybody. Thanks
Good
for
night.
watching. Slap a like. Check out Etsy.